Hey everyone, welcome to Survival Crafts. Brenda here. Thanks for coming back. About a week and a half ago, I made a video called Plantain Gel. In that video, I talked about how I was getting attacked by mosquitoes quite a bit. And it's also a bit of a wasp year. Lots of people are getting stung by wasps, and it's been a little bit crazy. So in that video, I mentioned that my plantain salve, as amazing as it really is, and it is an amazing salve, it wasn't really as effective at dealing with the mosquito bites and the wasp stings as I had hoped it would be. I made an assumption that it was probably because of the oil base and the amount of time that it takes for oil and wax to penetrate the skin. Quite a bit of it's going to just sit on top of the skin. And so I thought that an aqueous solution would be a better way for me to go. So I made the plantain gel. That was the first video I did, and I had tested it out, and it's been great. I really enjoy it quite a bit. It's been very effective in helping with the mosquito bites. The next video that I did, which was last week, I uploaded the marshmallow and oat gel, and that was for dry, irritated, inflamed skin, sunburns, and the like. Now, both of those videos, I did two different mediums to make the gel. On the plantain gel, I used xanthan gum and sclerotium gum. On the marshmallow oat, I did sodium alginate. I also mentioned on that video, one of the videos, I think it was the last video I might have mentioned it, that I was going to play around a little bit more with a different extraction technique for the plantain salve. I also mentioned about the amount of time that it would take to hydrate these gels, which it did. Also in the videos, I was using a mini mixer, and it added a lot of air into the gels, and that has settled out quite a bit. So before we start our next video, which is going to be plantain cream, I was going to do a plantain mixed with marshmallow and oat, but I think I'm going to just make this a plantain cream. So before we do that, I want to show you what the gels look like that we had produced a week and a half ago and last week. And also, I want to show you how I played around with my plantain extractions to get a much better product. Let's take a look. All right, let's take a look at our gels from last week and a week and a half ago. So this was the plantain extraction that I had done. And there's still a little bit of bubbliness. I'll bring that up to the camera a bit. You might not be able to see it, but there's still a tiny little bit of bubbliness in there that stayed in suspension, but it's fine. It's still a fairly clear looking gel. And this is the one where we did a mixture of xanthan gum and sclerotium gum. So it looks pretty nice. The next gel that we did was the marshmallow and oat gel. And that one got pretty, this one was done with the sodium alginate, and that one got pretty bubbly. But look at this. Actually, I'll use a different stir stick here. Look at how clear that gel is. So remember, we ended up mixing the 2% and the 3% to get this beautiful gel here. On reflection, I probably should have left it as a 3% mixture. Now, this is cool. So our plantain, you might be able to see it on camera. It's got a very slight greenishness to it. And I played a lot with a different extraction for water. And it took me a long time to get this extraction just right. But take a look at this. Look at that plantain extraction color compared to that one. That is significant. Whenever I teach the medicine courses, I'm always telling people that you really know that your medicine has fully come out when your color is intense. And so I used a method. I'm not going to tell you the whole method I used because I'm still kind of playing with it. And look at that. That's a really nice thick gel. The method that I used is a little bit similar to how I do my oil extractions. There's some big differences as well, but I am so pleased with this color, and I think that all of the medicine that I was able to extract in here is going to be far more effective on the really bad mosquito bites and wasp stings. I am so pleased with this. Now, one more thing before we actually truly get into the video is that my husband has constantly been telling me that I am remiss in saying this, but all of these things that I do here, these two, this is very, very basic recipes, super simple. You can probably find these kinds of recipes anywhere on the internet. But some of the other recipes that I formulate, and by the way, no, I did not get these on the internet. This is something I actually came up with myself and formulated on my own. But what I'm going to tell you is that the formulations that I do, especially the extraction methods and the other formulations, these are things that takes me a long time to work on, to do, and I'm very proud of the work that I do with it. But where my husband feels I'm remiss is I also do a lot of programs where I have workshops that people can physically come to. So I'm not going to give the dates right now of the workshop because who knows when people will be seeing this, but I'll be constantly updating my website. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a link down below, and you can go ahead and have a look at my website and see when the next workshops are going to be and what those workshops will also be. So now that I've got that out of the way, have said that, let's take a look at how we're going to make this plantain cream. Okay, let's check out what we're going to be using. Now, again, I'm going to say this one more time. This is not going to be a recipe that I'm going to be giving you the amounts. So I have got some mango butter in here. I have got my oil infusion of plantain, and again, just look at that beautiful, dark, rich color. So this is an oil infusion, and I infused this one into fractionated coconut oil. And then I have some, just a basic emulsifying wax. So that's my oil phase right there. And then for my water phase, I have got my water infusion of plantain, which also is a pretty nice color. It's not quite as rich as the oil color, but still pretty nice. And then in this tiny little container here, this is going to be my cool down phase, and I'll explain all of this in a bit. But in here, I have got my preservative, which I'm using the GeoGuard EcoCert again for this one. So I'm also using an essential oil, and I'm using fir needle. Now, a couple of things I'm going to say first of all is that when you're using essential oils, you really should have a look at some of the guidelines in terms of the amount of essential oil in percentage that you should use in your mixture, whether it's a cream base or salve or whatever. You need to make sure that you adhere to those guidelines very, very closely, because if you don't, you can cause problems for the person that might be using the cream or whatever it is that you're making. So just be really mindful of that. People can end up having sensitivity issues to it, outright allergies to it. So you don't want to cause those kinds of problems with anybody. So do your due diligence and make sure that you follow the guidelines for any essential oils that you're using, because there are safe dermal guideline limits. Which you can do your own research on that, or just come to one of my classes and we'll go over stuff like that. Okay, so now we're going to be doing what's called the oil phase. So these will all get melted together, and then we'll do the water phase. Now, the water and the oil, we want them to come up to a pretty close temperature to each other, pretty similar temperature. So we're going to do that in an actual water bath. So I'm going to put this beaker into the water bath. And then I'm going to put these two together in a water bath. And once these oils are melted, then I'll add the mango butter. I don't like to overheat any of my butters. This is not good for them. And then once all of these are melted and come to the same temperature, I will come back here and we will mix this up into a nice cream. Once the whole mixture comes down to a temperature below 45 degrees Celsius, then I'll add my preservative and essential oil into the whole mix, and then we can put it into a container. So let's go do that, and I will be back when everything is melted through. Okay, so there we have our oil and water mixture. Now I took note of the weight of my water before I put it in, just to see if I need to add more. Perfect. So there's our water. I'm going to remove the oil, get rid of my pan. So there's my oil mixture. I've got the emulsifying wax, the oil, as well as the mango butter in there, all melted now. And then this is just our water mixture. That's our heat sensitive ingredients, so we'll leave those for a bit. Check out our temperature. We are at 63 degrees there and 56 degrees in our water component. So I'm going to mix these two together, and I'll just pour the oil into the water. And see it all kind of solidifying already here. And now the key. You really do want to continually stir this. So I'm going to whisk for a bit. Get this all incorporated for a while. Very important that we do this, that we whisk it. Still a pretty warm temperature. It's rated around 48 degrees. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just stop whisking that just for a minute, and I'm going to get some cool water to sit this in. All right, so I've got a little bit of cool water in here, and I'm going to just keep on mixing. And it'll take a little while before we get to any real viscosity, but it should move a lot quicker now that it's in the cooler water. You can see it's starting to thicken up pretty nicely here. And in fact, we're probably at a temperature now that we could even add our cool ingredients. So I'm going to dump those in, mix them a little. And I'm going to take this out for a minute. I'm going to pour a little bit in here. Mix it all together really well. And then pour it all back in. Just so I can get all of those cool down ingredients. They're being measured at such a tiny little amount that it's very important that you get as accurate as you can. So I don't want to leave anything behind if I don't have to. All right, so this is all coming along really nicely. We're getting some nice viscosity here for our cream. So I'm just going to keep stirring and mixing. All right, so we're really getting to a nice thickness here. If I turn off my little spinner, you can see that it's actually holding stiff peaks there. This will probably take at least another 24 hours to fully thicken up. Our temperature is probably close to room temperature. It's about 28 degrees Celsius. So yeah, another 6 degrees or so to go before it gets closer to room temperature. I actually like a cooler room, so I like a 19 or 20 degrees rather than 22. So I'm going to put that in a container, and we'll check it out in a bit. Before I bottle this up, I'm going to just do a quick little spray with some isopropyl. I just don't want to spray it right over top of my container there. I don't want to get a lot of isopropyl in there. So I'm going to put my label on that I have created. Now before I bottle this up, I'll just leave it for a moment for my alcohol to dissipate. But if you compare that to the gel, you'll see the gel is a much darker green color. And even though my oil was a really dark green oil for the cream that I was making, it lightened up. And that's going to happen anytime you mix the oils or fats and waters together with an emulsifier. It's going to lighten the color a little bit, but still, that's a pretty glorious color. And yeah, that looks like it's all nicely dried out. So we will put that into the container. Now this will probably thicken, as I said, over the next 24 hours. We're going to end up with a really nice thick product. But if I found that it wasn't giving me the thickness I really wanted, then I would redo this recipe another time. And I would add something like maybe some either acetyl alcohol or cetyl alcohol or something like that. So there's our two plantain gels, the marshmallow gel, and our plantain cream. I think I'm probably going to end up making a marshmallow and oat cream as well, just to see how it works. In terms of dealing with irritated skin as well, which I know it'll work out just fine, but I'm very curious to see if our plantain cream will also work really well, since it's got both oil and water in it. And this is oil actually mixed within the water, so held in suspension in the water. So the water is more on the outside of the oil, surrounding the little oil micelles, and so I am hoping that this will also be a nice soothing cream to add onto mosquito bites and perhaps wasp stings. I'm still banking that this is going to have a lot more potency for it, but just for fun, just to experiment, I thought I would see if this one would work out just as well. Okay, that concludes our series on gels and cream. I hope you enjoyed this series. I'll give you another reminder that I do have courses if you are in Alberta, in particular around Red Deer, Calgary, or even Edmonton, of course. Then I'm not too far away from anybody. In 2021, which is this year, September, I believe it's 24th, 25th, I will be at the Lac La Biche Friendship Center teaching 2 days of medicine. I'm also going to be looking at doing some stuff next year with John Ritchie at Hideaway Adventure Grounds, so keep an eye on his website. He's pretty amazing. And also keep taking a look at the Lac La Biche Friendship Center website. And also you can check out my website for upcoming videos that we're doing here. If you're interested in this stuff, please check out my website, mahican.ca. Again, that will be linked down below. I will also put a link to John Ritchie at Hideaway Adventure Campground, as well as the Lac La Biche Friendship Center. All right, that should do it. Please give us a thumbs up. Give us a like. Subscribe, please share. This really helps me to continue offering some great content. So if you would share it with people, then I would appreciate that, and I will continue to make these videos. All right, that'll do it. Thanks, and remember, the next videos that we're going to be doing will focus on using preservatives and what happens when we don't. Take care, everyone.